So let's get started, everyone. I've started my timer for the first section for 15 minutes. Let's jump in. So we're going to start with senior leaders. And here's my first anti-pattern today. And the first anti-pattern is that when the senior leaders think about Agile and moving to Agile as a company, often they get the wrong why. Why are we doing the Agile transformation? And it's the question I always start with when I'm helping companies. Executives want to be Agile across the world. Yeah, we've got to get more Agile and more agility, but why? So it's really important to start with this question. And when we unpack and have a look at the why for some companies, the why isn't necessarily the right one. If the why in your company is to save money, if that's why you're moving to Agile to save money, your Agile transformation isn't going to be successful. Number two, once we've got into our Agile transformation, we then are going to set and help people with a certain way of working. And it's important to give people flexibility. As senior leaders, sometimes I've seen, or in fact, many times I've seen, that we force everyone to work in Scrum. It's Scrum or bust. You've all got to turn into product owners and Scrum masters, regardless of what you're doing at work, regardless of the type of work that you're doing. What happens if you force everybody to work in Scrum? Scrum is a fantastic framework, but it doesn't work for everybody. And by forcing people to work in this way, they are going to hate it, and they're going to resist, and they're going to fight. And your Agile transformation isn't going to go well. So I need you to give people choice, not just give them one way. What I like. And number three is all about safety, psychological safety, and is it safe in my organization to fail? And a lot of this comes back to our senior leaders in terms of, do they create an environment where you can try things? Agile is about being iterative and incremental. It's about trying things to see what happens, and often they won't work. You've heard of failing fast with Agile. So we fail fast. I like to flip that to learning quickly. We need to learn quick. We need to fail fast, learn quick. And if it's not safe to make a mistake, if it's not safe to fail, then people are not going to take those risks. They're not going to try things. So it's really important that as senior leaders, they create safety. Is about the iron triangle, And the iron triangle is something that comes from traditional projects. And I used to run traditional projects. I've done lots of waterfall projects. And when you start the project, you get a fixed scope. So a fixed scope, often through a big requirements document, and you have to deliver all of the requirements and scope. You also get fixed cost. You get given a budget, and you get fixed timelines. And all these three things become fixed, and you must meet them. For those of you who've worked evenings and weekends, to meet deadlines month after month, this is why you've been doing it. Fixed scope, fixed cost, fixed time. It's called the iron triangle. And the only thing that can give if these are fixed is quality. And quality starts to suffer. We can all meet deadlines, but at what cost? So in Agile, you have to break the iron triangle. And one of the ways to break the iron triangle is to acknowledge that scope needs to vary. We can still commit to these two. We can still fix cost and we can fix time, but scope must be variable. Now, some of you are working in organizations where it takes us a long time to get money. And this is approval to do something. It can take 12 or 18 months to get money. And many big companies have a very long-winded a process to get money to do projects. It's time-consuming, it's slow, and at the end of 12 months, we may pop out with approved projects. If it takes you 12 months to get a business case, think about what your nimble competitors are doing who have less red tape. In a small company, they can take a business idea and get a prototype in the market within weeks or months. And you're still asking for the money. Finance departments are starting to learn that things need to change in terms of how we allocate money for agile projects. In an agile environment, we can't afford to wait 12 to 18 months to get approval to start a project. There's some good news. There's some good news. And the good news is that we're starting to see a trend towards a thing called persistent funding and persistent teams. We're funding teams instead of funding projects. It's interesting that some people, when they work in Agile, actually forget to do any documentation, or that it becomes like, oh, in Agile, we don't do documentation. I want you to think about documents and what I call minimum viable documentation. I remember doing big documents in the corporate world, and these documents were massive. We may have created 80-page documents. Of the 80 pages in the document, there were probably 5 pages that really mattered. Yet we created 80 pages, and then we got 20. Then we had 20 people who had to sign this off. Most of them didn't read it. Maybe some people did, but most people just would go to one trusted person and say, should I sign this? Yeah, sign it. And it's a waste of time. Now, there's stuff that matters here. Focus on the elements of the documentation that really matter is number one. So still do documents, but focus on the bits of the document that really matter. And secondly, reduce the number of sign-offs. Reduce the number of sign-offs. Having 20 people sign off a document, it can take 3 months. Some projects, it never gets done. The sign-off never gets done, but we keep going regardless, yeah? So just be aware of this focus on documentation. I want you at this. The other thing that has to change is, what are we giving status on, yeah? Traditional projects, yeah, this is what you do. You say, am I red, am I amber, am I green, yeah? That's what we do in status reports, yeah? The project's green, the project's amber, the project's red. When you're working in Agile, there's the one indicator in terms of status that matters is value delivered. Write it down, value delivered. That's the status indicator that your project management office should be looking for. Your Agile, the whole purpose of an Agile project is to deliver value quickly, yeah? Get something in the hands of a customer quickly, deliver value quickly. And there should be a status indicator that has value delivered, red, amber, or green, value delivered. Have we delivered value? And if I was in charge of an Agile PMO, this is what I'd do. All Agile projects start red until they've delivered their first iteration to the market, yeah? Until they've gone live with something, then they can go amber. When your Agile project delivers value for the first time, it can go amber. And then, when it's regularly delivering value, it can go green, yeah? It's flipping it on its head. We focus sometimes on the wrong thing. All of our projects are green, great. But have you delivered any value, yeah? We need to change how we look at governance, how we look at managing our projects. Most of you, I am willing to bet, most of you have got an individual performance review that happens once a year, yeah? I expect that most of you don't particularly like the process. Even if you're the person giving performance reviews or if you're the person receiving them. It's a once a year process. The annual performance review is not very agile, okay? We need to be doing continuous feedback. Continuous feedback every day, not saving it all up for one big meeting to say, you know, oh, you're brilliant or you're not. So that's the first thing. Try and move to continuous feedback. The other problem that we've got is that the performance that we are judging you on is you as an individual. Yeah, it's individual performance. However, in Agile, it's about team. Agile and Scrum, it's about the team, not the individual. Yet we're giving people feedback on their individual performance. We even have the bell curve. Yeah, we all know the bell curve in performance reviews. For me to get a good performance rating, I've got to be better than you because I want to be at the top of the bell curve. So in a team, you've got people fighting each other to show the boss why they're better. Is that Agile? No. HR departments are starting to get it. The unit of team is what's important, not the individual in terms of performance. And the link between performance and pay, in my opinion, is at the heart of most organizational politics and bureaucracy. And let's start with this one. And I'm calling it fake, but people don't always mean or know that it's fake, yeah? And by fake, I just mean doing it in the wrong way. And often it's unconscious. And it's okay. But it's when people kind of start doing things and just calling it something, but missing the point. That's what I mean by fake. For example, we're going to run in 8-week sprints. Now, for those of you who've been know anything about Scrum, know that this is impossible. Yeah, Scrum is a globally recognized framework in which the longest sprint is 4 weeks. Often, when I see people doing this, they're not actually doing sprints at all. All they're doing is working in a time box. And it's got trendy, hasn't it? It's got trendy to talk about, use these buzzwords, yeah? So people come in, they're running an initiative, and they say, we're going to run an 8-week sprint. Now, if they do that, it's like, well, are we going to have a daily Scrum? Oh, no. Is there a planning at the beginning and a review and a retro? No. I'm just calling it a sprint. So just beware this misuse of language because you're just going to confuse people, yeah? You're going to... One. People say to me, Sam, we're hybrid, or we're doing Scrum Fall, and all of these strange words, or RedAgile. You may have heard some of them. Now, here's some news for you. It's binary. You are Agile, or you're not. Yeah, there is no hybrid. So how do I know? How do I know if I'm Agile or if I'm not? Here is what you need to do. The traditional project that works in these big, long cycles, plan, design, build, test. This is a traditional waterfall project. It has one big go live at the end, yeah? The first time we give anything to customers in any shape or form is at the end. If you're doing a project like that, it is not Agile. Then people say to me, Sam, but we're doing a daily Scrum. I say, well done. They say, Sam, we're doing retros. I say, well done. They say, Sam, we're working in 2-week cycles. I say, well done. But it's not Agile. Agile's about working in iterations, yeah? Plural, iterations. In other words, you're going to give something to customers. It doesn't have to be all customers, and it doesn't have to be all parts of the system or the product. You need to get something into the hands of customers as soon as you can for a feedback loop. The Scrum Master's job in many organizations is not being done as it should be. The interesting news is that companies want Scrum Masters. There are over 1,000 vacancies right now in Australia. 1,000 Scrum Master jobs. VJ, tell us how many there are in India. Put it in the chat, VJ. Tell us how many Scrum Master jobs there are in India right now. There's 1,000 jobs for Scrum Masters in Australia. What does that tell us? Companies are working towards Agile, yeah? So they're working towards Agile. They want to be more Agile, and they're seeing the Scrum Master job as a big part of that, yeah? But many companies treat the Scrum Master like a project manager, yeah? And what the Scrum Master ends up doing is status reports, is Jira, moving the tickets from left to right. Isn't that what you do? And administration. You're the one who organizes the meetings, yeah? This is a pattern that you need to look out for. What should a Scrum Master be doing? A Scrum Master is responsible for the performance of the team. You are there to help the team perform, number one. How do you do that? You create the right culture for the team to perform. You look after them as humans. You coach them to improve like a personal trainer would. You facilitate, you make things happen. You open spaces for them to fill, and you make it safe. You also remove distractions and roadblocks so they can just focus on doing awesome work, yeah? Is the product owner who says yes, 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 and yes. Now, if you keep saying yes to everything as a product owner, your product backlog is going to grow and grow and grow. And the time it takes from when you accept something into the backlog to the time it actually gets done is going to get longer and longer and longer. And your stakeholders are going to get more and more annoyed at you. So when you are a product owner, and this is what I like to say to people at the beginning, is that 20% of you are not going to like me. This is to stakeholders in the company. In fact, half of you might not like me, because my job isn't to say yes to all of your requests. My job is to maximize the value. Maximize the value for our customers. Whoever the customer is of your product, that's why I exist, not to make all of you happy. So a bold product owner learns how to say no. How do we prioritize stuff? Because it's not a free-for-all. Do we love change in Agile? Yes. Should a product owner say yes to things? Of course they should. But when you say yes to something, guess what? Something else has to come out, or something else has to go lower, yeah? Because every time you add something in, you're potentially going to increase scope and therefore increase cost and time. So something else has to come down. It's not a free-for-all. You need to continuously prioritize, relentlessly prioritize, but saying yes is going to get you in trouble.